More of your questions answered, plus recaps from the Red Angus Association of America annual convention. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up Radio Show. I'm Jeff Tigger Earhart. A big thank you goes out to our partners, the American Gelbvieh Association, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Dakota Cowboy, Allied Genetic Resources, Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, RFD TV, and Wrangler. Just recently, the Red Angus Association of America wrapped up their 70th annual National Red Angus Convention in Denver, Colorado. Immediate past president Steve Keister, also with Keister Red Angus, and I sat down for a little bit, recapped the Red Angus Convention. Steve, thanks for coming on the program, visiting with us a little bit. I can only assume that the vibe at the Red Angus Convention was enthusiasm, optimism all the way around, because let's just call a spade a spade. If it has four legs and goes moo, it's fetching a pretty darn good price, the way that feeders are, the price that fats are bringing.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody was in a very good mood, and, feeder cattle are good, fat cattle are good, and the drought is busted in a large portion of the U.S. Not all of it, but it's considerably smaller than last year. So, no, the mood and atmosphere at the convention was very good. And Commercial Cattleman Symposium was fantastic again. It's always been a highlight of our convention, and this year it was focused on reproductive efficiencies and had some great speakers, and it was a big hit. Everybody really liked it.
So going forward, what is going to be the focus of the Red Angus breed? And I know that is a 30,000-foot question. I get it. But just generally speaking, is it focusing on a maternal side? Where are you trying to position yourselves as Red Angus breeders? And I know, again, that's a 30,000-foot question.
Red Angus has always taken a kind of a multiple approach to our success. And, of course, we've always hung our hat on maternal. Data's still calling us the most favored female, and for good reason. I mean, it's a fantastic female. Discussion was around the marketing side and the importance of Angus beef and how relevant Red Angus is in the beef industry, and tremendous amount of discussion on that. And that was all good and positive. And that was probably the two main things we covered through convention was making sure we never forget about our female and the relevancy of Red Angus within the Angus beef industry.
Well, when you know what works, I mean, focus on what works, right? I know a number of years ago when I had visited with several different individuals from the association, when adding value to your calves, when it just started to kind of get popular and people were taking advantage of a number of programs, and we encourage everybody to at least look at them because they do work. And I know at that time it was spend $1, get a tag in your calf that brands them as a Red Angus tag. Is that still a program within the Red Angus Association that is pushed in terms of adding value to those Red Angus and Red Angus influenced calves? Because you said marketing was one of the key points that y'all were talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Red Angus has, I believe it's the nation's oldest USDA program in the industry. It still adds value to cattle, lots of value. I mean, just the fact that these feeders know that these cattle are sired by Red Angus bulls it's a fantastic program. Same price as an ear tag you're going to get anywhere else, filling out a piece of paper. I mean, it's pretty awesome program. And these feeders are getting more and more demanding in what the kind of cattle they want to feed. They want to know some things about these cattle. I don't blame them. There's a lot of risk there. And anytime you can eliminate some of that risk, that's a good thing. We do believe the day's coming where more and more information on these feeder cattle is going to be needed if you're expecting any kind of a premium. It's just risk mitigation. That's all it is.
Steve Keister with Keister Red Angus and the immediate past president of the Red Angus Association of America. Thank you so much for the time, Steve. Now, Steve and I went a whole lot more in depth about the cattle business, the seed stock business, genetics. How do we make changes in this business? How do we develop alliances and partnerships? We are going to feature that particular conversation coming up here in a week or two, so looking forward to that. Mark that one down on your calendars as well. Now, coming up after the break, we answer some of your questions that you have reached out to me and asked specifically about a product that we have talked about many times on the Ranch It Up radio show. So we try to answer some of those, point you in the right direction. So stay with us. We've got a whole lot more of the program, including our market recap and some featured sales that are coming up right here on the Ranch It Up radio show. Fall production sales are fixing to rev up, and with the prices of calves, which are excellent, and the prices of the weigh-ups, which are excellent, it may be a time to take those older bulls to town, weigh them up, and apply those dollars to fresh genetics. Allied Genetic Resources is your source for bulls and females that can take your program to the next level. Check out the fall sales at AlliedGeneticResources.com and follow along on Facebook.
LivestockMarket.com. We hear from them each and every week highlighting various sales and lots, but have you taken the time to cruise the site, look around and see what cattle are bringing? How about lower that sale expense and give Livestock Market a try? It's about the easiest way to market your stock, and it puts your product on a worldwide view. LivestockMarket.com. It's simple and it works. You're going through your calves, looking what worked and what didn't work. So as you're reviewing your program, you need to ask, is this a time to change? Is this a time to make additions or subtractions? Gelbvieh and a Balancer may just be the right fit for you. Gelbvieh and Gelbvieh-influenced females offer sustainability and maternal growth, while the bulls can add those extra pounds at weaning. Find a breeder near you, gelbvieh.org, or check out Gelbvieh on Facebook.
Cattle Battle.
Welcome back to the Ranch It Up radio show, the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find anywhere. It's your all things ranching newscast, and so glad to be with you. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. Give us a call at 707-726-2420. That's 707-RANCH20. You can text us at that number as well. Email ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Now, I have taken a number of phone calls and received a number of emails from you, our listeners. Thank you for reaching out, by the way, and you've got more questions about Farmatan. We had Paul Mitchell on the program a few programs back, about a month or month and a half, something like that ago. By the way, go to our archives, ranchitupshow.com. And you can find those past episodes, by the way, and help answer some of those questions. But that's where we're going today. More of you have had questions about how to use Farmatan. Now, I understand that this is an individual basis. So I'm going to give you about a 30,000-foot view of what Farmatan is, how it works, how we're using it in our cow herd, how we're using it with our calves. But remember, this is, again, the 30,000-foot view. For more specific information, how it should be applied, how you should feed it, need to get a hold of one of the crew at Imogene Ingredients with Farmatan. That's the Pauls, Paul Mitchell, Paul Martin, or today, we have Joe Knopp. He is a key account manager with Imogene Ingredients. Joe, thanks so much for being on the show. As I said, a number of people reached out with questions, and we need some answers. Let's talk a little bit more about the tannin. Let's talk about scours and scour control. Let's talk about getting it in our cow herd, and let's talk about applying this where we are right now to those calves that are being weaned.
Well, a lot of guys have put up with scours for 2, 3, 4 years. And when we get in with our program, whether it be the tub or the mineral, as long as we have the Farmatan in it, we can alleviate a lot of those scours. And we're, Tigger, quite honestly, with the vets owning all of the drugs, that has been fantastic. It's way easier to keep an animal healthy than to pay to bring him back.
And are you finding uses like now during weaning time? Is it a good idea to try to get calves, to get them started on the tannin? What's kind of your take of this time of year? Even though, we are going to make a big push here in about 60 days and, to get guys and say, okay, 90 days prior to calving and all that. But in the season we're in right now of a lot of calves going to town and getting on trucks and traveling 10 hours and hundreds of miles. How does the tannin, how does Farmatan fit into that particular equation?
We have a liquid. I'm going to start back at weaning. We have a liquid that I've had guys using 2 or 3 years for weaning, and it is amazing. You get those animals to drink, they will eat. Wean calves. I had a guy call 2 years ago, and calves were drinking 8.5 gallons of water one Sunday night, and he was all nervous. And he called back next day and said his son was mad at me because the calves had laid down, Tigger. They laid down and they were content. Nutritionally satisfy that animal, they won't walk and bawl. And that's what has been fantastic for us. So, yeah, we use a lot of it for weaning. I'm big on the drench on incoming cattle because people don't realize that if you put an animal on a truck, say from Nashville, Tennessee to O'Neill, Nebraska, the rumen will undevelop. I mean, that is a scientific fact. The rumen will undevelop. The first thing you need to do is rehydrate that animal because a lot of times that rumen, I mean, we've seen where we've done it, just personal experience, we've seen where it'll grab that appetite. I mean, we're feeding the rumen. We're not feeding the steers. We're not feeding anybody. We're feeding the rumen.
Feeding the bugs in the rumen.
Correct. We're feeding the biology. That's all we're doing. And it's no different than you and I. I mean, we eat lunch because the bugs down there are saying, hey, it's time to eat. You know, it's all about the biology and whatever species you happen to be doing. It's the biology in the gut that does the work. And when you feed them, you rehydrate the gut, the rumen, whatever, like I say, whatever animal it may be, we get along very well. So, I mean, again, it's about, and not to go on too long here, but for me, it's exciting because I used to sell for one of the companies over the road that sold vaccines and drugs. I don't know. There's a lot of folks that have never read a vaccine box that says for immunization of healthy animals. Working cattle off the truck is not the best use of your resources because they're wrung out.
You know, Joe, you said something kind of compelling to me that I think a lot of people overlook, and that is a very basic animal husbandry fact about cattle lying down and being content. That is a very, very, very big indication of health in and of itself when you have cattle that are settled and are quiet. And it kind of like you and I going to a hotel room, right? I mean, when we're comfortable and we get comfortable, what do? You kind of lie on the bed and you put your clothes away and you get comfortable and you turn on the TV and now you're able to go, and you kind of rest and relax. It's the same thing for cattle, and that is an interesting animal husbandry fact that you brought up that I think a lot of us overlook is just watching how those cattle react to their new zip codes and their new locations, and that can be a huge, huge factor of animal health.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If they're laying down and they're chewing their cud, they're not burning any energy. They're not under stress.
And have you seen this year in terms of any kind of data where some guys can come back and say, I have been using the tannin on my cows and calves or just calves or both the other, one way or the other, seen some data in terms of actual weaning weights? Because you and I both know, I mean, I tell you what, if it has 4 legs and goes moo, they're ringing the bell this fall.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to say that I've seen on paper the data. We've got enough guys. I just got off the phone with a guy in Norfolk. He said, you know what? I said, here, we're getting ready for the fall. He said, Joe, when we're ready, because they do it as it gets a little bit, December is when they start putting it in. He said, Joe, our weaning weights, our breed back has done nothing but go up the last 3 years. He said, I'm not going to change a thing. Everything that we're doing is right. And they have their mineral but they're using the Farmatan. They're using, if they need the paste, they're putting our Farmatan granular into what they're doing and using our tubs.
And breed back is so terribly important in this day and age because, as I just said, with prices what they are, a lot of guys are in a situation where almost I can't afford to hang on to these females. I got to send them down the road. And I understand that where you are able to turn a product into cash. It's basic inventory. It's manufacturing and economics. Well, that is going to start to put stress on your financial plan 3 and 4 years down the road because now all of a sudden you don't have anything that's coming in to replace some of these cows that you may need to cull. And now more than ever, because of the situation that we're in with the numbers in our cow herd, or the lack thereof, I should say, it is so darn important that those cows, they need to be efficient machines. And breed back, I think, is more crucial than ever because, yeah, we're excited about the prices that we're getting now. Not all of us, maybe, but I can say most of us are awful darn excited about the prices we're getting. But I'm talking 3 and 4 years down the road. It's great right now, but we need to be thinking in the future here. And breed back is so darn important.
Well, it is. That's interesting you say that because when I moved here, 8 or 10 years ago, I didn't know this, but we've since then remedied a lot of it. A second calf heifer is the hardest thing on the planet to get rebred.
Absolutely.
And we are doing that. We have guys, again, I don't have anything on paper to say, look what we did, Joe, but I've got guys that my customers I talk to going, man, we had a guy down in Southwest Kansas, in Syracuse, Kansas, and we got a video of him where I know Paul Mitchell grabbed a video. He said, this product, this Farmatan, whether it be the granular or the tub, what have you, helped put the profitability back into ranching. This young man loves what they're doing down there. And they're raising grass-fed cattle. He said, I feed 42 families with this beef. He said, there's no way on earth I'm going to change because we are not having to use drugs. That is so huge. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of that.
So a lot of guys ask this question, and that is, and I field it all the time after I have one of the Pauls on the program when we start talking Farmatan and tannin. Tannin, we call it's the same thing. The Pauls call it tannin, we call it Farmatan. That's actually kind of the over-the-counter name of it, the logo on it. So a lot of guys say, okay, I'm convinced, I want to try it. How is the best way to do this? That's the biggest question, is because it's not like we can go into, as we were talking off air, to our local farm supply store and we can grab a pile of sacks of this stuff. So how do we get this in our possession?
Well, they can email farmatanusa.com and that will get them in touch, whether it be, name the state, we'll get the proper rep, we can direct ship. But the first thing we're going to do, Tigger, before we do that, it's our turn to ask about 6 questions. I'm not, it'd be like you coming in and I'm the doctor and you come in and I set your left arm and your right one's the one that's broke. Without knowing what we're getting into, I'm not gonna do anything until we ask about 6 questions, figure out what you're fighting, how many cows do you have, we need to know a history on the farm or the ranch. We can't just jump on the horse and go, yep, it's a great product. It is, but we need to know how to do it. And from there, we'll get you anything you need.
Joe Knopp with Imogene Ingredients, Farmatan, the tannin that we talk about so many times. Thank you so much, Joe, for getting a hold of me and sharing some updates and some information with us and answering some of those questions that our listeners had. For more information on Farmatan, how it could possibly work on your outfit, just head to farmatanusa.com. You can get a hold of Beck and I, and we will get you in contact with the individuals that you need to talk to. We'll even get you in contact with various number of producers that are using the tannin as we speak. Now, Kirk is on hold as we speak. We're talking numbers. We're talking market recaps when we come back with the Ranch It Up Radio Show. It's that time of year when we're loading trailers and we're hauling cattle. Regardless of what's going on, ranching never stops. Neither should your nutrition program. With Westway Feed Products molasses-based liquid feed supplement, you can embrace a nutrition program that aligns with your ranch's unwavering dedication. Ranching never stops, and neither should your commitment to your cattle's health. For more information and to find a Westway Feed product rep near you, call 800-800-7517. That's 800-800-7517. Or visit westwayfeed.com. Are you looking to liven up your event in 2024? Change the pace, make it stand out?
Let us, Tigger and Beck, agriculture advocates, outdoorsmen, and all-around fun couple, be the addition to hook the attention.
I see what you did there. Now, we will leave you laughing and having a positive outlook on the future.
From being the keynote speakers to MC to masters of ceremony, let us, Tigger and Beck, make your event unforgettable.
Y'all know where to find us. We keep bringing you more and more information about Farmatan, and for very good reason. It just works. Now, with calves getting ready to head to the sale barn, producers are culling cows and getting ready for next year. So start feeding Farmatan now to the cow herd and knock scours out for next year. And here's the best part. It's super easy to incorporate into your existing rations. It can be fed in tubs, a TMR, loose mineral, liquid portions. Doesn't matter. They work with all major feed manufacturers. It's farmatanusa.com and follow along on Facebook. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ranch It Up radio show. That time in the program when we check in with Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, recapping last week what the markets did, why they moved the way that they did. Now, more information can be found on Kirk's newsletter, by the way. Text the word cattle, CATTLE, to 33777. It's Kirk's free newsletter. He sends it out each and every week, and that's the best way to get started on the marketing program and start to know Kirk's lingo and understand some things. So if you're looking at changing some things up, obviously we encourage you to give Kirk a call, but that is the best place to start and has all of his contact information. So Kirk, how are you, my friend? And I toss the microphone your direction.
I'm very good, Tigger, and a good day to you and all your listeners out there.
Yeah.
As of Friday, September 15th, October feeders closed the week at $264.40. That's up $4.97.5, with the CME feeder index at $253.39, up $4.18 on the week, leaving the basis at a negative $3.98.5 versus September futures. That is a little bit of a wide basis with only a couple weeks till September expires. October live cattle closed the week at $187.05. That's up $3.65 on the week. The spread narrowed between the north and the south, with cash trading $183 in the south, up $3, and $184 to $185 in the north, so steady in the north. That left our 5-area weighted average up $1.57 at $184.26, and the base is a negative $2.66.5. That negative basis in live cattle is kind of a new thing to the market. We haven't seen that in quite a while, but some of that is due to the fact that October does not go into delivery for a couple more weeks. Weekly slaughter came in at 632,000. That's up 75,000 head from last week, which was a holiday shortened week, but still down 41,000 on a year-over-year basis. Weekly slaughter is 4.3% less than last year. Choice boxes closed the week at $305.71, down $7.19 a hundredweight. That again is the concerning aspect to the market as we go forward. The big move in feeders and cattle all started on Thursday following the core price index report, which showed more inflation, more than expected inflation. And I think we saw the funds aggressively buying cattle and oil this week as inflation reared its head again. To wrap this all up, December corn closed the week at $4.75 down 7 3/4 on the week. Corn continues to consolidate within a trading range as we move into harvest, which is about 5% complete.
Hey all, it's Mark Van Zee with equinemarket.com. Coming up this Wednesday, September 27th, we have our monthly online horse auction. It's fall, so the colts and fillies are starting to hit the market. Bidding starts at just $100 a head, no reserves, all horses will sell. Featured lots include Shadow, a bay Tennessee walking horse gelding. He's a 2018 model, 14 hands high, grade, crossbred. He's got a good disposition and easy to ride from Equestrian Resolutions in New Summerfield, Texas. Moses, a bay Appaloosa quarter horse gelding, 2018, 15 hands high. He's an Appy quarter horse cross. He's entered and won second in 2 showmanship class shows from Shade Ranch in Lander, Wyoming. Bandit, a bay thoroughbred gelding, 2017, 15 hands high. He'll stand to open gates, rides well in the branding pen, swings a rope, great with cattle from Owens Farm in Marquez, Texas. Kilgore, a paint filly, 2019, 15 hands high, started under saddle, barrel or gaming prospect from Equestrian Resolutions in New Summerfield, Texas. I'm some Red Class, a Tabino paint colt, 2020 model, 15 hands high, still growing, registered from Equestrian Resolutions in New Summerfield, Texas. I'm your Huckleberry, a Sorrel Tabino paint colt, 2022 model, APHA registered, groundwork started right from Jade Ranch in Pilot Point, Texas. Oak Barrel Black, a black Tabino paint colt, 2022 APHA registered, has the patience of an older horse from Jade Ranch in Pilot Point, Texas. PQ Royal Spoon Ray, a chestnut quarter horse filly. She's a 2023 model, AQHA registered, has cowie and athletic ability in her pedigree from Padrika Ranch in Baird, Nebraska. PQ Royal Spoons, a Champagne quarter horse colt. He's a 2023 AQHA registered cow horse, stud horse prospect. Pedigree has some earnings throughout it from Padrika Ranch in Baird, Nebraska. All these horses and more can be seen on the website. Bidding is open right now, and all horses are going to sell the morning of Wednesday, September 27th. If you've got a horse to sell, we got regular horse auctions the fourth Wednesday of every month on equinemarket.com and auctiontime.com.
And now that's going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks from our crew to yours. Kirk Donsbach with StoneX Financial Incorporated, Steve Keister with the Red Angus Association of America and Keister Red Angus, Joe Knopp with Imogene Ingredients and Farmatan, Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com. Appreciate y'all. A big thank you goes out to our partners, the American Galvy Association, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Dakota Cowboy, Allied Genetic Resources, Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, RFD TV, and Wrangler. And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to follow and like us on Facebook at Ranch It Up Show. We've got many updates there that go on throughout the week. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. You can call and you can text 24/7. The phone number, 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. Spread the good word and join us again next week where it's always Tigger approved. Stay ranchy and ranch it up.